Okay, let's get started with our session number 4, um, dashboard and reports. This is the first time I've done this one, so I don't know how long this one's going to take. Um, we may finish a little earlier. We may go right up to the end, so we'll see. Um, Let me pull up my notes here so that we can get right to it. So I entitled this one Dashboard and Reports, Making Charts and Reports to Make Work Easier. And maybe I should say to make life easier too. I don't know. Um, there's a lot of power that we've given you in our software in general, and I think you'll see a lot of that in the report and dashboard area. Um, there's a lot of things that I think I've heard complaints about or frustrations over that I think could potentially be solved with the use of dashboards and reports and filters to get the information you want and to always have it available to you. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this, and I'm going to try to show you what you can do. Um, and then hopefully we'll have enough time afterward to kind of take some questions about maybe what you want to do, because I'm thinking this will inspire you guys in a few ways to add some charts, to add some reports, set up some filters to get the information that you want always at your fingertips. At least that's what I'm hoping. Now, I will say that there's a lot of probably tweaks that we can do in this section because we haven't had people really pushing it yet. And we don't always know exactly what you're interested in when it comes to some of this stuff. So you may bring up things that are going to stump me, or things that we're not quite going to be able to do, or things I just don't know if we're able to do yet when we get to our question and answer time. And that's okay. We're going to take some notes on those things, and we will definitely try to work those out and then get back to you. Okay. So first thing I want to show you is all of the preset dashboards and the preset charts. Okay. So we have, this should look somewhat similar to what you're used to seeing in the old version, where we had different tabs. Now we have like different dashboards is what we call them. And they should look very similar, almost the same, if not the same, as what we had in the previous one. And even the content on them is going to be very similar. Okay, we tried to, for the most part, duplicate that content, but put it into this new format that was a lot more powerful and easier to work with and manipulate. So here's our overview on. This is kind of the one that we've always looked at as one of the more important pages you could actually go to, where you just get a real good snapshot of what your company looks like. I know that we've always had our sales information in here. In this case, this has always been there. We have the flag leads. This is the demo count, and it looks like some of this stuff has been messed with. So I don't think that this is entirely representative of what you're going to see in your dashboard the first time you log in, but it should be very similar. I think one of the ones that we got rid of was coming events. Let's see, does that one still exist as an option in here? I don't think it does right now. Coming events can be probably, I believe you can set that one up, and which is why we didn't make it a preset. Also, we kind of anticipated it would be a lot easier to use from the leads page as opposed to the dashboard. But I see somebody wants coming events back. All right, so we will show you how to build a coming events one. Cody, take a note for that, and we'll do that, and maybe we'll just we'll either show it to you or maybe we can add it as a preset. So if you look at these, they should look very similar to, these are basically reports is what these are. Now, some of these are special, like these ones are special. These preset ones, a lot of times we didn't, we made them preset because we have to do special things that get the information to you the way we want it. Things that we can't quite do in our reports stuff yet. Things that we're working toward, but we can't quite do yet. So those are things that we made presets for. Also things that, are very commonly wanted or desired. So like the case of coming events, I think the largest reason why we excluded it was just because it's something that's buildable. But maybe if a lot of people want it, we'll set it up so that you don't have to build it. Make that easier for you. So this is a dashboard. We can delete this dashboard if we want. I'm not going to do that. We can also add new dashboards if we want. But let's look at some of these other dashboards. So here's our sales one. And this will be, like I said, I think that this has been messed with, but basically these dashboards are going to be very similar to what your current dashboards are. You may see a little bit more information. You may see the information presented in a slightly different way. But you're going to find, for the most part, it's going to look exactly the same as what you're used to as you kind of work through these different dashboards. Okay, nothing too super new here. Okay, but what you're able to do now is add your own dashboards. So we can add a dashboard, and we can just call it, my dashboard. Now this is not, this dashboard is going to be, and you can pick an icon too. So if you want to search for an icon, you can pick whatever you want and create a dashboard. Now, we just noticed that this text got deleted here. It didn't really get deleted. It's an issue that I think our devs fixed. I just don't know if they pushed it out yet. So, so now we're on our new dashboard right here. Just a refresh brings those back. And now we can add our own charts to that. Now, the cool thing about this is whatever login you're logging in with, that's what the dashboard is saved to. So you don't have to worry about making a dashboard or charts that everyone's going to end up getting access to. I believe that these are all saved. If you move things around and make alterations, it's only per login. So if you have your own login, it's going to be saved just for you. Okay, so that's pretty important to know. In the case of these charts, they're going to have a lot of options for doing different things with these charts. So I can hover over them, I can get information. I can come down here and I can say, well, I'm going to turn off that one and that one. And I'm going to try to look at some of these smaller pies and just see how they work. Maybe I want to take the tenths and the limit out too and get an idea of how my categories look when I'm just looking at certain things. Okay. So, one of the reasons why we've made all these changes is because we want to give you a lot more control over your charting, and you want to work with that data a little quicker. So the other thing I think that it's important to notice here is that we have this little time choice here, and hopefully we can improve and give you more options for this too as time goes on. But you can really quickly pick a different time option. So this is pretty cool. So when you say this year, we can say, well, what was it last year? And boom, right there we go. That's last year. And we can say, what's this year? Go right back to it. No big deal. So that's a really cool feature to be able to change that. That's something you weren't able to do. I think you had to pick your time range and it would affect everything on the page. Now you can do it per chart. And the other thing you can do is delete the charts if you don't like them. If we're looking at a chart, and this is a good example here, and this is like, man, this is just, it's too crowded. I can't see it. And you're going to see some that will really overlap pretty badly. So what you can do is you can just stretch the chart out. You can just say, okay, I need to see it spread out a little more so I can read it a lot better. You can move things around as well. So we give you a lot of control over this. You can set it up the way you want it. And every time you do that, it saves it. So if I were to come back here, sure enough, it didn't change it. So, so those are really cool features to the dashboard. The other thing that you can do is you can edit even a preset chart slightly. Okay, I can change the name on a preset chart. I can change the type of preset chart that I'm using and then click update and change that. In a lot of cases, we let you also set your default time range. It doesn't look like this one's letting you do that, so I'll have to take a look at that because I think it should. We probably should let you set the default time range, not always have to go in there and make a change to it. So, and then that would enable you to maybe have, two category charts. Maybe one would be last year and one would be this year, and you'd always have that in the dashboard if you wanted to compare that data. So, and each chart is different, right? So you're going to have different options. So here we're looking at sales, this line chart. This is a preset chart. And we have this term fidelity. That's basically like, what data points are we looking at here? This is by month. Okay, so we can change this. We can say, well, I want to look at by quarter instead. And so now it's going to show by quarter. So you're on a line chart. Maybe this isn't the best way to do it. You would probably want a smaller one instead, because you're going to get maybe a little more data. Those big lines, they don't really mean a whole lot. And so you might not do that on a line chart like that, but just to give you an idea, some of the things that you can do with that. Down here, so this is a line chart, and this is a pie chart. It's technically a little more of a donut chart, which is cool because I like donuts a lot. We have right here, this is a report, basically. It's a preset one, but it's kind of like a report. So, and you can click that, and in this one, you can do your time period. So you could set a different time period, and you could, make a copy of it. We could make one and then add another preset chart that had, the same sort of data with a different time period. And we could put them side by side so we can kind of compare them. So those are some of the things that you can do with these preset charts. Like I said, some of them allow you more control than others. So let's start looking at making your own dashboard and your own charts. So I think that's where it gets really fun. So line chart is the top button. It doesn't mean it's the most likely one to choose. I actually think a lot of times a data table is what you're going to end up using a lot of. Probably not as interesting to look at a data table, but it's still somewhat interesting. Now, I made a chart earlier, and I'm going to try to reproduce it. I made a pie chart of something that I thought you might be interested in. So I could kind of run an example for you. So I'm just going to do a pie chart, which, again, if you really care about accuracy, it's actually a donut chart. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and pick. So I'm naming it right here, and then I'm going to choose a time value. So if you'll notice, anything in here, these are only time fields. All the time fields that we allow you to use. So in any of your charting, which is kind of interesting because you can start to think through. I think you're going to look at these and say, okay, interesting. How could I use my customer last activity time to give me an idea of how active my customers are in the last week? So you can do some really neat things, I think, with this, and so I'm anxious to see you guys explore this, get into it, and play, because I think you're going to come up with some statistics and some different ways to look at your company that are going to be helpful for your growth and for your planning and so forth. But in general, the one that you're going to use the most is probably going to be this. So I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to say you can pick a fixed range if you want. Most of the time, you're going to want to use something that's not fixed. This one I'm going to use this year. And then for our value, we want to look at, because we're trying to do here in this case is I'm trying to do, oops, wrong thing. I'm trying to do what are my customer types spending with me? So just to see, how my customer types are, who's spending the most of my different types. So let's see here. I need customer type. I'm going to group by that. So if you understand what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to say I want to collect all of my residential, all of my commercial customers together, and I want to see how my distribution is. So that's why I'm going to group it. I'm going to group by that. So it's going to group all of my residential into one record with a total, and all of my commercial into one record with a total. I'm not going to use a filter on this, but generally you're going to probably want to get a filter set up that's just like higher status stuff, because you don't want to include quotes. You don't want to include things that were canceled and so forth. You're going to want to include only things that were complete, or things that are, most likely going to complete. So probably you'll want to set a filter up and choose that filter most of the time. So anyway, let's go with this, and we'll get an idea in this demo count what we have going on. So we have residential right here, we have commercial, and then we have basically things that don't have a customer type on them. So you can, we just made that chart really quickly. So you can also do that probably as a bar chart as well. Let's just do that for kicks and see what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. And we'll do a bar chart. I think it'll be similar, but I don't know. Let's try it. So we're going to do same sort of thing. Let's just type in total. There it is. And let's see, we're not able to group it this time, so I'm not sure how this is going to work exactly. Let's give it a try. Okay, that's not exciting. I think in this case, we probably would have to, I guess we have to stick with the pie chart for what we're trying to gather. A bar chart must be used for other sorts of things. So, you know, when we're comparing different data, but it's not letting us divide it by, we're not able to group it. So we're not able to divide it by customer type, which is why it's failing to be interesting. It looks like with a bar chart, we are able to list multiple things. So maybe I want to list discounts. Oops, well, we'll do that one, that's fine. Boy, my discounts were really small compared to my total. Let's see if we can do tax. Put tax in there too. So now, you know, we have a set of data, and this is probably a bad name for it right now. Customer types is not really what it is. But now we're comparing, you know, tax versus discounts versus total, and probably total isn't even the one we want. We probably want less tax. So total less tax or subtotal. And we are able to compare the previous year or previous period. So we can do that, see what that looks like. Okay, so now we're seeing, this is kind of interesting. So we can see 1 year, and I have to look into making that a little easier to read, but you can see how the 1 year is shorter and smaller than the other year. But you know, I don't see our key here anywhere, so we'll have to look into that. Again, like I said, not many people have been using this yet, so we haven't got to put a lot of effort into all of the details that you guys are going to uncover, things that you are going to want to see. So, you know, continue to work with us on that, and we'll sort that out. So, so let's look at, let's see here. Let's look at, so I'll just kind of go through some of these other ones here. A data table. A data table is going to be pretty much, you're just going to choose a report. So you're going to choose a report, you're going to name it, and you're going to pick a few things here. And you know, based on what you're choosing, you know, some of these options change. And there we go. There's a data table. So I could load this same thing on the leads page if I wanted to. So if we were to go over here and choose that same report, oops, spell it right. And we're going to see, this is the same thing that we're seeing also right here, except this birth date thing is a optional field, which we support here, and we do not support in here, it looks like at this time. But it's the same sort of thing. So if you have a report that you know you want to see, you know, you can also build it here as a part of your dashboard. And like I said before, you can move these things around. So if you just want it to be nice and big, you can do that. You can click load more to get more information. We do show totals at the bottom. The other thing here we have is a growth chart. This is not one I understand a ton about. Similar to the bar chart, it looks like I struggled to do that one, but let me show an example of a growth chart. And it's always hard to, in this demo account, to do some of this because you do what you think is correct, and it doesn't look right because the data in it is kind of not right. So because people are playing in there and so forth. So here's an example of a growth chart. And in this case, you know, I'd probably want to keep this like a little smaller and put it somewhere on my dashboard. But it's basically, the attempt is to look at a single value, compare it to another period, and show you if you're up or down, okay, on that period. And it's going to do an estimate as well. Now, I see some comments saying that it doesn't appear to be accurate. You know, we can take a look at that if you have that, if you have that showing up for your account, you look at it and you say, well, it doesn't look accurate to the old user interface. We'll take a look. We've already done a lot of adjustments to that to improve it. We may still be off by something. It's also possible that some of the calculations are just slightly different. And as long as we can explain that, you know, if that's acceptable, then you might like it that way, or, you know, possibly we could change it to be calculated more similarly to the other version. So anyway, that's how you kind of work with your dashboards and add charts and so forth. Again, you can add preset charts as well. So here's all the preset charts that you can access right here. Most of them will be already added to your account when you go and look at the dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead now and move over and cover a little bit more on reports because reports are very closely related to this dashboard. So we're going to cover reports in this as well. We talked a little bit about reports today. This is the report section here. We do have preset reports. So you can add a preset report if you want. You could choose. There's only a couple right now. We will probably continue to add more of those. But let's just look at adding a report. So as we spoke before, you have different options for reports. These are all the places you can apply reports. When you're working on the dashboard, most likely you're going to be doing a report type of leads. To tell you the truth, I'm not even sure if we support these other types on the dashboard yet. So, but in general, you're going to be most interested in your leads reports. So I made a couple reports here that I wanted to show you that I thought might be interesting to you. So here's a report down here called water items. So in this water items report, I was trying to get an idea of the number of times something has been rented that is like a water item. So I'm going to add, I didn't add this in before, so I'm going to add it in now. Actually, no, I don't want that in there because I know what it's going to be. Okay, so here's what I've done. I set up the rental name, I have a count column, and then I have the total of the rental amount. So those are all found in here. You can search for them or scroll to them if you want. Now, this is the data that I want to see in the report. I'm going to group it by name because I don't want all of each item's name to be grouped. So I want to see all my water slide rentals, all of my dunk tank rentals, maybe all those different things. And then I'm going to sort by the name as well. So there's just options you can check. Some things you aren't allowed to group or sort by. And then some things, once you have grouped or sorted, it becomes not possible to do that. We only allow for one sort on reports right now. But the one thing that stands out as you look at this is, how do I know it's a water item? Well, the reason why I know it's a water item is I've applied a filter to it. And in this filter, I have it set up to only use, only find items that are water items. So once I've saved this, which I already did earlier, I can then come over to my leads and I can apply that report, and I'll show you what I get. So there we go. So now I'm looking at all of my items that are water items, and I'm seeing how many times they rented and how much money they made. And that is for this, just all of my stuff right now. And I can further filter that if I wanted. I could say, you know, what was last month. I can do the filtering here, or I can also do the filtering right here on this. Now, if I change the filtering on this and add like a lead event dates, something like that, and I say, you know, I could set it and do some additional filtering. When I save that, what it's going to do is, and this is, like I said, the most common one is going to be this lead start date time. Gives you a lot of options. What it's going to do is it's going to be a modified, like a modified filter. So let's see next. 200 days or something like that. So when I save this, I can either save it and save over my filter, save a new filter, or I can just say apply it. I don't want to actually save this. I'm just doing this temporarily. So when I say apply and close, it then applies it to this filter and will adjust my data depending upon how I did it. So that's a quick way to build a report to see some different things, and I hope that's somewhat inspiring. I'm going to go back here to reports and show you another one that I built, and this is the weekly planning report. So if you wanted to potentially, maybe you have someone in your office who they don't need to see totals or they don't need to see certain information, but they always, they have a task that they have to do where they plan out the week. And so they want certain information. That's all they need to see. They don't want to click and open every lead to look for the information. They just want it right there on the screen. So this would be a good example of using a report. And then if they need to click, they can click into it and edit that item. So that's possible to do. So maybe in this report, they just need to know where we're going roughly, city and state, and they just need to know the items that are going and the quantity and when the event is. So they would make a report similar to this, and they would go to here. And again, all of these reports could be made as charts on the dashboard as well. So if there's like something common that you're doing, like, in fact, maybe we would have wanted to apply a filter to that report that said, I'm always looking 7 days in the future because I'm always planning those 7 days out. So you could have put a filter on there that would do that. And then every time you load that report, it automatically filters to what you want, or on your dashboard, it automatically has that filter applied. So let's see here. Let's go to the report and choose it. It was our week planning report. And now, we're looking at this report here that has just what we need. And maybe we want to go ahead and print it so we can carry it around with us and do whatever we need to do with it, and highlight it or whatever. So you can easily do that. So I think, like I said before, there's a lot of instances where people got used to using, getting information or data a certain way in the old user interface that could probably be done better, or at minimum, at least be done similarly in the new interface. And so part of what we want to do is kind of teach you how to do that. So, and I think that once you get used to doing some of the things, you're going to find that there's, in many ways, you can do it better in this new interface. So now, not to pour salt in any calendar wounds that we might have out there, but it's possible if you're looking for certain information on the calendar that you may want to do it something like this, where you set it up to look at like the next week or two and pull that information. I know that doesn't handle every application of where the calendar was useful, but it may help some of you and it may actually be better. So I just wanted to show you that to you. Now, there's another report I built over here, and it is kind of an interesting one that we just made the ability to do recently, and I don't think anybody really is using this yet. We added some new fields in called lead start year, lead start month, and lead start day, I think. Maybe it's just year and month. And so what that does is it allows us to group it and say, I want everything in 2020, everything in 2019, and so forth. And so if we just want to look at all the discounts per year, so we can see like how many discounts did we give out in 2019 versus 2020 versus 2021. We could build something like this that would show that to us. So let's go back over and see what that looks like when we apply that report to our leads. So we would come over here and we would just choose it. And there we go. Now we see all of 2019, all of 2020, and all of 2021 with our totals at the bottom. Okay. And I'll just show you real quick how that looks when we do it on our dashboard. So let me resize this and we'll add a new one. Maybe we'll call it yearly discounts. And we're going to choose a report. Oops, and I need to change this. I want this to be, I actually want it to be all. We're going to need an all filter in here, aren't we? For now, let's just do this. So I'm just looking back for the last couple of years. All right, so I'm just looking through 1/1/2019 to 12/2021. And I don't need to filter it, if you remember. Well, I don't in this case because I'm technically filtering by the time right here, and I didn't really necessarily want to filter applied to it, but I could. In this case, again, we would probably do a filter that would be based on only looking at complete events, not looking at any cancellations or anything like that. And I'll show you how to build a filter like that in a minute. So we'll go ahead and create that. There we go. So that should look very similar to what we just did on the leads page. So we could have something like that set there in our account. Yeah, I can see that we're going to have to change the formatting on that because that's not really how you would look at a year. But there you go. There's the data. We'll fix that. So let's go ahead and look back here at the filter real quick because I do want to show you what I'm talking about when I talk about filtering the status. So we would maybe call this like higher status. Or maybe you would call it maybe you'd call it something like reserved events or something. Whatever you would want to name it. So we're going to go in here and we're going to pick our statuses and say, okay, we want a status. And in this case, depending on your statuses, you would either, you'd want to make it as easy as possible, right? So if you had a ton of statuses that meant it didn't happen, you would want to choose those and say doesn't contain these. I think in our case, I can do it this way though. I'm going to say contains. It's got to contain, spell it right, contain contract, and, well, I'm sorry, or it should contain, and you can see what's happening over here is it's showing us the number of leads, and we can click that and go and see what leads it's actually finding if we wanted to. We also want to do confirmed, and now we're up to 19. That's good. That makes sense. We're doing or, and we're going to do complete. There you go. I could have also said, in these cases, I could have also said equals as well, because I'm typing the entire word out. It's contains would have worked. If I had to put CON, then it would have caught both of these, but I think that you want to be clearer. So you don't want to do that unless there's really purpose to. So if you were maybe searching by anybody that lived in, anybody that had a name that, matched a few characters, you might do that. But, so we'll go ahead and say this. Oops. Gotta clear that. Okay, so now I have my higher status filter. I'm going to go back to my dashboards and I'm going to say, let's edit this because we want to use that filter. So we should see this change now. And I'm guessing 2019, yeah, pretty much goes away because it looked like all of them were quotes in that case. So there we go. So that's how you would apply that higher status filter. That's probably one that we would apply to a lot of things. So like we'd probably come in here and, oops. That's already applied. I think that was just that's a bug that needs fixed right there. So we just applied it, so we'll have to fix that one. Okay, so that's how your reports and your dashboards work. And I know that you guys are going to have a lot of good ideas on reports. Please send them in. We would like to do what we can to support what you're asking for. Some of these things are difficult to support just because we're trying to do it very programmatically and hit a lot of different options. So, just be patient with us when it comes to that, but we will do our best. We would like to know what reports we're missing, and if it's something that a lot of people would probably use, we'll add it as a preset, or maybe we'll just add it as an option. Something that's easy for people to add to their account. So at this point, I think I'm going to go ahead and take a break here from speaking and let you speak. So if you have any questions or comments about the dashboard and reporting, please ask me, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Oh, Nikki, let's see here.
I had some questions about the phone dashboard. So over here, one of the things that I noticed is that there's no way to look at the months for incoming missed voicemails, like that sort of thing. So for me, it's really important to see how my months compare. Like, where does the phone volume really kick up, and where do I need to add extra help? Um, so that sort of thing is one of the things I've noticed that in beta, when the phone was available in beta, there was a lot of extra things that were added that also let me just keep track of my phones better. Um, the worker stats is really cool, but I miss being able to look at things on a month by month basis without having to build ones that are individual for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if we had that capability in the old one or not.
We could actually sort in the call log. We would get it a month report. Was the other thing is like currently this call log is just there's a couple things in the call log that but that was one of the things is the range. I'm not able to actually sort by time frames.
Okay, well, let me go through a couple things and just make sure that I understand you correctly. So I know that you can say, this month, last month, next month, and immediately get some information.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing you can do, and I did, I click this edit here, and you can pick fixed range, and you could pick an actual month. So I'm just looking at this month here, and then you're going to just get that month. So those are two options for you. But if you're looking for like
the total for each month,
the total. So yeah, so this gives you the total of a month, but to get the total of each month, yeah, I don't think we have that option just yet, but I'll put it on our list.
Cool. And then the other thing is the actual call log itself, being able to sort by a time frame would also be helpful. And like figuring out like how billing and things like that work. It used to tell us like how much it was for this call, that call, like that sort of thing. Because I know in some of my territories, they're talking about passing that fee on to the client and finding a way to incorporate that.
Yes. Well, the charging for iPhone is changing to where it's not going to be as much based on a usage sort of thing, which may change your needs for that, which is probably why we haven't included it, because it's going to be more of an unlimited plan. So we could take a look at that, but you can sort here. What was the exact you were asking to be able to see?
I can't say from June through like the month of June.
So you want to filter, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I see someone asking about texting in the new IO. Yes, you can text. You just open the phone bar, click text, and you do have to do it from IO phone. We are not going to be supporting the text from email anymore, and primarily because deliverability is horrendous. It's just all the carriers are blocking it, so it's just too hard to get them through. It's just not worth your time to try to send a message that way. So if you've been following iOphone, we've been doing a lot of improvements and updates to it. We still have some more work to do on the texting, which we should hopefully finish up in the next couple months. So, but you can text, you can choose your text template and put in your number or click your customer and enter your message here. There's also a text log that you can get to right here. And if you're looking at a text, you can then, click the number to reply immediately. And this kind of shows you a thread of your messages with the customer. Do we have any other questions? Especially regarding reports and dashboard? Any ideas for things that you guys are considering building for your dashboard?
Hey, I have a question.
Sure.
About reports. So this is Laurie from Pensacola. We in the original IO, I have my report that has the pick list or the day end report. I tried to find something that was close to the pick list in this one, but it's like the packing list, but it doesn't look anything like what I really want for the guys. Can you create something like that? This just has the the packing list does have what they're delivering and where it's going, but it's unreadable for them. So I was trying to make it easier to read.
Lori, did you have something already in the old UI that you were using?
I do, and it's actually listed pick list. Okay,
yeah, that is accessible. It sounds like that's possibly you built that as a packing list, like a different type of packing list. And let's see, you would go and select the items and say print. And then you could actually select the pick list from here.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then and then you would print it. So this is not showing anything because I don't have. Let's just pick this one, and then I'll show it. I didn't have any vehicle packing list set up. You can also add multiple items in here if you wanted. So you could say also contracts, and now you're going to see for all the leads selected. So.
And you could pick like a specific time, like a week's worth, and it'll print out the whole week.
Yeah, you would do that over here. So you would first say, oops, I'll stay on fixed range.
Okay. Yeah.
And say I'm doing this week. It shows all the stuff for this week. You say select all, and then print.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to make it look easy for my guys because sometimes they have trouble.
Sure.
Looking at those things, so. Okay, that'll work. Thank you.
Yeah, and the print utility here, I think we have a little work to do to continue to improve this. So, let us know your feedback, and we'll keep trying to improve that. Yeah, so someone had asked a question about doing a postponed events report. Just to be clear here, there's differences between reports and filters. So reports are the information that you're going to show, and filters are where you kind of separate or collect the information. So if you're looking to do postponed, you would first build your report of what you want to show, and then you would also build a filter just being for postponed status. So like we did the higher status one, you could build a filter that's just for postponed, and you could add that filter to the report if you wanted, or you could just build the report without the filter and go to the leads page and choose your filter when you get here. Maybe you have a filter that's complicated, you would choose and then apply your report to it by clicking here. I'm just going to kind of browse the chat here and see if I can cover anything in more detail that you guys have asked while I was speaking. But if you have a question, just speak up. Probably try to finish here in the next 5 to 10 minutes before my voice gives out. Just in case you didn't realize, we are recording these and we will put them up on YouTube. We don't always go, a lot of times I screen out the questions, but the content will be there. And we're going to do one more day of training that we have scheduled in February, and you will get emails about that. It'll be up on our Facebook page as well. So make sure you attend that. Hopefully we can fix some of the things and make alterations to some of the things that you guys have been asking about so that we can show you at that point. But that is only a month from now, so there's a chance we might not have those released yet. So all of your reports should primarily be available to you in the new UI, regardless. I don't, there's a chance some of them may not work completely right, but if that happens, let us know. I think that they should all work. The filters were the ones that were a little more difficult for us to transition because we improved a lot of our filtering. So we actually have to convert those. So if you're over there and you're like, man, some of my filters I really like are gone, let us know and we can probably transition and convert those. The other option, of course, is to rebuild those filters. We do give you a lot more options on filtering and building filters now. So you may want to rebuild some of those filters.
One thing that could also be happening with the reports is they are user specific. So like a lot of the reports I had access to before were just account reports. And now when I go to reports, I'm missing all of those admin kind of added reports. I'm only seeing ones my worker profile has access to.
Yes, that's a good point you bring up. We didn't discuss it, but down at the bottom of the reports area, I'm making reports just for me. And no one's going to be able to see those unless I share them with them. I think the filters are similar where you can share. So what you're going to want to do if you have other people logging in under different logins, you're going to want to share those. I don't think at this time, and that's something we covered, I think, before, we can't remove the share, so we'll have to add that in. So we'll let you delete that share. We also, I think when someone alters a report that's shared, what it'll do is it'll save that as a new report just under them. So as long as they don't alter it, any changes that you make to the report, I think continue to be updated on their version because they're actually just sharing yours. But once they start changing stuff in filters and reports, I believe we save a copy. That way it doesn't affect you and yours.
Is that clear when they do that? So like if they make a change and they hit save, does it say like balance due copy or, you know, something like that? So they're aware that they're no longer, we're not looking at the same thing anymore?
I'm going to have to double check and look into that. So I made a note of that. I'm not doing it enough that I'm aware. Okay. Any other last questions or comments before I let you all go? Again, I want to thank you guys for attending, and you know, I'm pleased with the attendance that we've had at each of our training sessions. And you know, if you have other people working with you, send them to the training session. Don't just come as the owner. Anyone who's using it was going to benefit from this. The repetition is good. Next time, we're going to cover the same first 3 options, the basic how to use this Office upgrade. And as you noticed this time, we had new things to show you because we made updates. Then we'll go into working with leads and then rentals, and then the session 4 next time on our training day on February 11th, which will be a Thursday. We're going to do a new thing, and it's called communicating with customers, printing, emailing, texting, and calling. That is the plan. Unless that changes, we are going to kind of just go through all the different ways to communicate with your customers and your workers, and to do it efficiently and easily. So that'll be on February 11th, which is a Thursday, again from 12 to 4 Eastern time, for the sake of our West Coast friends. But thanks again, guys, for attending, and thanks for being open to change. We really appreciate it, and we're really striving to build a product and a service that you guys value and enjoy, that helps you do better than the competition. So continue sending your feedback, and we're going to keep working with you to get where we all want to be. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.